animators and artists. Gaylord Libessart is an animator based out of France and is the creator of the original series God School. His independent 2D animated series is based on Greek mythology, with the gods as teenagers trying to find their place on Mount Olympus. We invited Gaylord onto our stream to discuss the work and craft that goes into creating this independent series. Gaylord, welcome to the stream.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So, would you like to introduce yourself and describe an average day working on God School?
My name is Gaylord. I'm a 2D animator and I'm the creator of God School. And an average day on God School, well, it depends where am I in the production. Right now, for example, I'm working on the next episode. So usually I spend the day in front of my computer, working on the scenes and drawing, animating. And it's a totally different process when I'm writing, when I'm working on the scripts, because then I usually spend the day thinking out loud and playing the scenes in my head, and then going back to my computer and try to write something, see if it's working. And yeah, so I work from home also, so yeah, it's that's how it works.
So, as someone who is responsible for the script writing and also the animation, character rigs, compositing, I'm sure I'm missing a few different steps in the process. But what would you say takes you the longest?
Well, the animation part, of course, takes a lot of time, and I would say that the writing process is also not very easy because I always try to add the most that I can in the episodes. So yes, I would say animation and writing process.
I think that if you watch the series, you can see that there is a lot of care and craft that goes into it. So, for our viewers who have not yet watched your independent animated series, could you tell us a little bit about the premise and the characters?
Well, God School tells the story of Eris. That's her. She's the young goddess of strife and discord, and she tries to find her place on Mount Olympus. And the series also follows the story of the other gods and goddesses. Everything is set on Mount Olympus, and it's like a sanctuary created by the Titans after the emergence of these new divinities. So the whole series is an adaptation of Greek mythology.
Would you like to take our viewers on a quick tour of the character rigs that you used in God's School and some of the animation techniques that you use?
Yeah, sure. So I think we can go and see a bit more about Aries. So just activate the filter and let's go inside the rig. So this is the rig. So you have different backdrops with the hair, the face, the body, some details, and the lower part of the body. I don't know which part I can show you. Well, for example, if I take, you can see a bit. Okay, this part is not working well, of course, but so you see
I mean, that's very
the
impressive.
body. I can show you maybe the face because I think it's the most rigged part of the character. When I just move the eyebrows, I just have a small mask, to hide the eyes, the pupils and everything. And same for the arms. I mean, I have a drawing with a curve deformer, sitting here. And I redraw a lot, so you can see that I'm redrawing the different part, like the arms and the ends, whenever I need them. So yeah, I would say that it's quite a simple ring because I'm often readjusting it, and every time that I need something different. For example, if a character is moving his arms and putting them like this, I would just redraw the arms. And same for the legs. If I want her to be sitting on the floor, I will just redraw it completely and add another curve deformer. So that's mostly how it works.
So I know you described this as being a fairly simple rig, but you do have like a very detailed character with a pretty accurate like anatomy, and I noticed there are a number of like highlights on the eyes and little frizzes of hair. So like clearly a lot of detail went into this design.
Yes, that's what I like to draw. I don't know. I don't know when I can show you.
So we got a question in the chat.
Okay.
MT is asking, did you create everything on your own, or are you working on a team to create this?
No, I'm working alone on the animation and the rigging of the characters and the editing, the montage, compositing. But I'm working with Brandon Winkler. He's the voice of Paris and Hermes to correct the script because English is not my first language. And he helps me to correct the dialogues and make them look more natural and more better for the series. Yeah. So, but no, for the animation rigging, I'm alone.
And I believe you also mentioned there's a background artist too who also contributes to
Yes,
the series.
yes, Gavin O'Donnell. He's a background artist, and we worked together on the first 2 episodes. He was working um, on the backgrounds of the series because I needed someone to really help me build the universe of God School.
But everything else that shows up on screen is something that you have worked on directly and touched and created.
Mhm.
So I also noticed too that Eris is holding a prop. There's sort of the apple that she's traditionally shown with.
That's a persimmon tree. This is a
Oh,
persimmon. Sorry, that's a lotus persimmon from the persimmon tree, and that's from the episode 4. So this rig was for episode 4, and that's why she's holding a prop. Yes, it looks like an
very
apple.
cool.
Actually.
Yes, sorry, I was thinking of the golden apple, but
It could be.
So let's see. Is there anything else that you wanted to show off on this rig? Because I know you have another rig that you'd like to show our audience as well.
Yes, I can show you this other scene. This is from episode 5. It's Aphrodite, and the scene is already animated. I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear her voice? No.
We can hear a little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I have this scene, and I will. You have the camera here. And add all the features and backgrounds that I'm using. So this one is just a simple drawing with a blending in multiply and then
So
a
I
highlight.
just wanted to mention too that it is rare to find artists who work both in in rigging, animation, compositing. What was the process for compositing the scene like? Was it sort of like you had a picture in your head of how you wanted to look, or was it more trial and error?
Well, I'm always experimenting when I'm animating the scenes, so, and especially for Aphrodite and Hephaestus for this one, I wanted to have something like red and pink, something like for Hephaestus workshops. So I did some artwork, but I wasn't 100% convinced that that was the correct thing that I wanted for the scene. So yes, usually I'm just using filters like this one. You know, this is just a picture, a drawing in a Toon Boom, and I try to see how it works, how it's gonna look on screen. You know, if I change in the blending, see what I could do, and to find the perfect lighting, the perfect composition for the episode.
So while you have these characters up, I wanted to ask, how did you choose to reinterpret these figures from Greek mythology?
Well, I've always loved Greek mythology, and I'm I'm reading a lot about Greek mythology, and I'm always taking notes, and I used all these details of the things, all the things I've read to create the characters, to their epithets, their attributes, the things they did in Greek mythology, the things they are known for, and that's what I try to put in one cartoon character to reinterpret these gods and goddesses.
Yeah, I mean, the protagonist of your series is the
Oh,
god of like strife and discord.
uh-huh.
How do you make her into a character that people feel some sympathy with?
Well, I think well, she's an outcast, and I think that people love a good outcast, and she's not perfect, but that's what makes a good character. I think she's misjudging the others. She's not always very friendly, and I think that's what's working.
That's a good point. I wanted to ask, what were your main sources of inspiration for the characters, as well as the like look, feel, and tone of the show?
As well, I'm sorry.
So like, what were your like inspirations for the look and feel, and I guess like the tone of the show?
Oh, well, I like I know that my art style is kind of Disney-ish. I've heard that a lot, and I'm okay with that. So I just decided to draw exactly what I love, and I love drawing girls with very long hair, and I love characters who have like 3 or 4 colors maximum, and who don't have too many details on their clothes. I love very simple characters, so that's what I decided to use for the series.
I really like your point about like the two or three different colors used on the characters, because I feel like maybe that helps distinguish and like
Exactly.
identify who the characters are.
Especially when you have a lot of characters, different characters in a series, yes.
If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been working on God School?
Well, I started code school in 2013, but at first it was really a side project, something that I was working on outside of work, like a hobby, and it was like that for more than a year. And then I decided to make a trailer and post it on YouTube in 2015, and then again I had to forget about the project and go back to work. So um, when I really started working on the project and making the second trailer, and when I started thinking about making an animated series, it was in 2016, 17, I think. Yeah. And the pilot episode
And
was
what,
released in 2019. Yeah.
so when you were working on the trailer, you were posting the scenes that would just be in the trailer before the pilot episode was ready, right?
Yes, but the scenes that I made for the trailer were not part of the pilot trailer of the pilot episode. So yeah, I mean these are just 2 small trailers that with small scenes, but it's not part of the pilot episodes.
Yeah, I just think that's a really interesting part of the process too, where you're sort of figuring out like what the series is going to look like.
Yeah, exactly. It was, yes, I was trying to figure out what the series will look like. Yes, exactly. And also the second
So,
trailer had the voice actors, so it was really different from the previous one.
what was the journey like for God School to become an independent animated series? Like, how did you take it from an idea to something that exists in the world?
Well, After I posted the first trailer, I kind of forgot about the project because back then I had no idea if I would be able to work on it someday. And 1 year later, I realized that the trailer had reached more than 1 million views on YouTube, and I was a bit shocked by it. And then I started posting things on internet, on DeviantArt, Tumblr, and then Lizzie Freeman, she's the voice of Aphrodite in Sfiga. She contacted me and telling me that she would like to voice a character, and I decided to make this second trailer, and I used it to apply for the financial aid from the CNC, the French National Center for the Cinema and Animation. It was a financial help for creators on YouTube, and I received their support thanks to this trailer, and that's how I had the opportunity to really start working on God School and make the pilot episode.
So you had this series that you started working on in 2013, and it's gone through a few different revisions and trailers, and then a pilot episode. I'm really curious, like, how did the series and maybe the characters change or evolve throughout the development process?
Well, at first I was really into the high school aspect of the series. That's also why it's called God School. I had backgrounds with lockers and scenes with the characters taking classes and with the teachers. And it's something that I've slowly put aside and decided to focus a bit more on the characters, their stories, and the adaptation of the myth. And I think it was a bit more interesting for the series. And I would say that also one of the advantages of making an indie animated series is that you interact with people on social media and on YouTube, and um, I use the comment I read on social media as a feedback. Sometimes I see that the viewers like something in the episodes, they like this character, and they reacted to this relationship. So I've already written the stories, but I always have space to include, to make some small changes and include these things that the audience really like or want to see more about.
I'm really impressed they're able to take audience feedback into account for this project that's like your passion project. I'm really curious, was there any feedback that you weren't expecting?
No, I was expecting uh, a lot of feedback about Hades and Persephone and Minthi because it's a very super famous story, and Persephone has a lot of fans uh, everywhere, and Minthi doesn't have so many fans. And but the feedback I was not expecting, I don't know. I don't have one in mind now, right now.
All right, we can come back to that. So I know the pilot episode for God School currently has something like 6.6 million views on YouTube and another 600,000 on the French version. How would you describe the reaction to the series so far?
Well, when I did the first episode, I mean, the pilot episode has a lot of flaws, and I mean, I had no idea about the compositing, editing, and the timing. So some people were not convinced by it. And also, when you decide to make an adaptation of Greek mythology, you know that some people will be upset because it's something that they love, that they know, and they don't want someone else to reinterpret it and make an adaptation. So yeah, it wasn't always very good, but on the other hand, I know that there is a strong community who of people who love and support the project and were very supporting, that it really helped the series. So in the end, I think that the reaction is good, and I think that you cannot please everyone when you make something like an adaptation, and it's the case whatever you post on the internet, I think. Yeah, so, but it's good.
What do you think fascinates people with these like Greek gods that personify different things in the world?
I think it's because these stories are I don't know how to say that in English, intemporel. It's um, they don't have they don't belong to the past. I mean, they're still very modern. The stories in Greek mythology, and the characters, the Greek gods and goddesses, are very human. They have a lot of flaws. They have a lot of they can feel jealousy and love, and uh, that's that's what makes Greek mythology so interesting, I think.
Yeah, because I think that Greek mythology is having a bit of a moment. I know there are projects like in video games, there's Hades that's gotten very popular.
Mm,
And, Dungeons and Dragons has sort of similar types of gods in its mythology. And there are just a lot of series that I think there's a fascination with those types of characters right now.
mm.
I wanted to ask you, what was the most challenging aspect of creating an independent animated web series?
Um, well, I think the most challenging aspect is when I posted a new episode on YouTube, um, because it always feels like the first time, because of the huge gap that I have between the episodes. Uh, I am always scared that people will forget about the series, and I don't know how they will react to the new episode, and I don't know if it's going to perform well. And uh, so yeah, that's really challenging because yeah, it's always a surprise. And I would say that the other challenging aspect is, and it happens every time that I'm working on an episode, it's that at some point I start questioning myself and having doubts um, about my work, about the animation. I'm wondering if the animation is good enough, if the backgrounds are okay, if the script is good. Am I showing too much about the characters or not enough? Or are the viewers gonna like it? Is it? Yeah, that's a bit. It can be a bit overwhelming, but I also know that at some point I have to get over it and just keep working on the episodes. So yeah,
Can I ask a question? So what episode are you currently on right now? Episode five or so?
episode 6.
Episode six. Okay,
Mhm.
that is a huge, huge accomplishment. So I think you should feel really good about the series so far. So I asked you what was challenging, and actually I want to ask you one more question about that too. So I know a lot of artists who work on like independent series really want to have the creative freedom to work on the art that they want. Do you find that working on all of the non-art elements of having a self-published series, the bookkeeping, the uploading everything to YouTube, and having descriptions, and all of the marketing that goes into that, do you find that to be challenging?
Uh, it is challenging, and but I think it's also these social media like Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. These are amazing tools, and it can really uh, help you to promote your work. So I think it's really worth trying to publish and posting things on social media. And it's not really challenging. Sometimes it can be a bit exhausting, especially when you have to finish your work and when you're animating and you think I need to do something because I haven't posted for a while. But no, it's good, and it can be really great when you feel a bit down, when you have doubts, and suddenly you go on social media and you see all these people who are supporting your work, and can you also receive some very nice messages and say, okay, I can do it, and people believe in it. So yeah, it can be really, really good.
Well, I just want to say, like your work is excellent. So
Thanks.
While we're on the topic of, because we were talking about things that are challenging, I also wanted to give you a chance to do a little bit of bragging. So, Gaylord, what would you say you're most proud of on the series so far?
Um, well, I would say, yeah, I'm proud to. Well, I don't know if proud is the right word, but I'm really happy to work on this series that I've created that I love, and to have these great voice actors who work on the series, and the people who support it. So yeah, I think this is great. It sounds a bit cheesy, but it's great.
So, when you're talking earlier, you also mentioned too that you're really proud of how the series has progressed over the episodes. What are some elements that you feel that you've improved at and learned about throughout this project?
I've learned a lot about the rigging process, and because now I know that I can really adjust it for an episode. It's not a problem anymore, and I'm not. I mean, I know that I just have to redraw and yeah, go inside the rig, and I'm not afraid to change it. And I've learned a lot about the editing, the sound design, the compositing. Yeah, that's and I still have to learn a lot. I still have a lot to learn about this, but it's really interesting. I mean, every new episode I'm learning something different, something that I didn't need before. So yeah, it's really interesting.
So one question I like asking people who work on independent series is, do you have advice for artists who are interested in creating independent series of their own?
Well, I think that if I have an advice to give, is just do something that you love, really. I mean, love your characters and your stories, because uh, you're going to spend a lot of time with them, and you don't know what's going to happen with this project you're creating. So, yeah, just do something that you really like, something that you're comfortable with, and have fun. Then I don't know what advice you can give someone who just want to create something. Let's do something that you really like.
Yeah, well, I mean, the alternative is if you are working on an independent series and you're doing something that you hate, something really wrong has happened.
Sorry. Uh,
If you're working on an independent series and you like really hate every moment of it, something's gone wrong.
yes, yes, of course, yes.
We are a little bit ahead of schedule with my questions. So I was wondering if you'd like to show off some of the things that you put into the rigs that you would show an animator working on like the project with you. Like, what sort of things would you do to show someone this rig?
Okay, so again, uh, go side. Yep. Mm,
It's also really nice to see a rig that's very organized with backdrops and like everything labeled.
is it organized? I don't know.
I've seen worse.
I think that the backdrops really help when I'm looking for something, a drawing. I don't know where it is in the rig. It's just yeah. I remember that it's either in the upper body part or yeah. So yeah, it's really cool, the backdrops. Well, what could I tell an animator? I don't know really. What can I show? Uh, well, I can show you, for example, about the lip sync, and if you want the character to speak. So I haven't created a lip sync, an animated lip sync on Toon Boom. So it's basically just drawings. I could just, you know, just drawing that I switch.
Yeah, I think having drawing substitutions, it's a really simple way of having cut out characters move, but it's also very flexible.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then I can just adjust the face with the curve deformer, just have a jawline to rock. For the eyes, I can show you. It doesn't look
Now,
best now.
were the highlights in the eyes, is that a bitmap image, or were those all drawn using vectors?
No, it's just drawings in vectors. Yeah. In the previous episode, she used to have very small light in the eyes, and I got bored by it, and I just got rid of it because it was so annoying. I had to move, the eye, and I saw the small light, and it was too much work, and decided to just not use this anymore. And
Were there any other elements that you refined over time too?
sorry, I didn't understand the
Oh,
question.
sorry. Were there any other elements that you maybe changed or refined as you were going through the series?
Oh yes. For example, this she has this small bracelet here on her arm. This one. So it used to be a single drawing, and now I just put it on the arm just together. And every time that I have to, for example, switch the character, I just go inside, take the drawing, just put it on the right arm, and yeah, it's easier for me because it was too many different elements on the rig, and as I told you, I tried to keep it really simple. So yeah, something that I changed, and also the small part of a dress here. I think in the first episode it was one drawing together with the torso, and it was just a simple drawing, and I've decided to separate it because yeah, it's easier, especially if I want her shoulders to be a bit like this, and yeah, just use the curve deformer, and yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed that, like with the dress and the sort of arm bangle, you have a character that's a little bit there's a little bit of asymmetry. Do you find that's challenging to work with, or do you have good ways of dealing with making sure that the bangle's on the correct side?
Well, I used to just use the transparency. There was I used to add uh, the transparency here. No, nodal, I think. Yes, like this one. Just to make it appear or disappear. Um,
Hmm.
and I had to. I don't know how do you call it in English. I mean, it's bretelle. We call it bretelle in French. So I had to bretelle, and I used to add this transparency for the one I was not using. I mean, she would have one on the right part, on one of the on the left part, and yeah, it's something that I'm not using anymore. So I'm just changing it. I'm just using the peg and just uh, sweeping it, and yeah. Oh, I don't know why it got.
Hey, that's a clever solution.
Yes, because
Um,
I really wanted to make it simple. So simple.
Yeah, when you look at like a lot of rigs that are built by like rigging artists in their spare time, they will throw in like every bell and whistle imaginable. They'll have like a little like button for switching between like the sort of left model and right model, and all of these different poses, and like a button for switching between like inverse kinematics. And then when you hand it to an animator, they sort of look at it and go, what is this? So I think that because of your background as an animator, it makes sense that this rig is very simple and very easy to use. And I think that's a strength. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We actually had a question. Oh, sorry.
No. I totally I agree with what you say. Just I would like to learn how to make a rotation on the face, because I know that some people did amazing rigs with this rotation on the face, and that's really awesome. But yeah, I think this one is working for me. So yeah.
Yeah,
But
we have a question in the chat about the character rig. How many views do you have of this character's model, or do you just have like the models that are just built for what you need on each episode? Like, did you do like an entire 360 rig for this character, or are you using views that you just need for the episode?
I did the 4 views for the first episode, for the pilot episode, but now no, I'm just using the views that I need. And for example, I don't think that Eris was um, from view from behind in the episode 4, so I don't have a recent rig of Eris from behind, and I know that if at some point I need her to with this view, I would just readjust the rig and just correct it. But no, I'm not anymore doing all the views for the characters. I don't know if it's a good thing, but that's not what I'm doing.
I mean, I think it makes sense to make what you need, right? Like,
Yes,
if you were making rigs for a production where you're going to have like an episode, a season of like 22
yes,
episodes,
of course
and
you're
they're
gonna
going
need.
to be characters in all kinds of poses, you probably need like that full turnaround for everybody. But if you know, well, this is episode 5, and this character is not going to turn around, you don't need to draw that.
Yes, and yeah, also when you work on a production in an animation studio and you work on a full season, you are not supposed to adjust the rig. You're not supposed to touch the rig because it has to stay the same for all the animators. So yeah, it's also something that you're not supposed to do when you work in a production.
Right. Was there anything that you did for like problem solving on how to get Eris's hair? Because I noticed there are like these little strands that sort of dangle. Was there anything that was complicated about rigging that, or was it fairly straightforward?
No, it was straightforward. I mean, it's just drawings, and again with a curve deformer. And no, and even the small hair, it's just res. It's just yeah.
You know what? I realize that it's really simple, but it looks really good.
But I often redraw the hair for different scenes, especially if she's on the floor or she's I want her hair to look to be, I don't know, in front of her or on the floor. I will just redraw it and again use the curve deformer and create a new deformation. Yeah.
Do you want to take a look at some of the compositing on the Aphrodite rig?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that like lighting, glows, compositing are all things that artists are really curious about because
Okay.
I mean it adds a lot to the scene, right? Like you
Yes.
have the character design, and I find that when you have those lights and highlights added, it really changes the like
Mm-hmm.
sort of tone.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can see here when I put the render. So this is the scene without any effects, and even with just the background, it's still not. Yeah. So this filter, I think, really helps, and the lighting, the highlight, yes.
So I know, like you briefly described some of what went into it. There's sort of a multiply effect
Mm-hmm.
on one of the layers,
In the blending.
and I think so. For this scene with the highlight, is it that the highlight is cut by the character's model?
The highlight. So I have the first filter with a cutter, so it's connected to the main composite of Aphrodite. So that way, it's not going. Um, it's it's only active on Aphrodite, and then I have this composite and with the blending, and the highlight doesn't have a cutter. I mean, it's just connected to the composite.
So,
Yeah, so
Gaylord, I have to ask you.
it's
Oh,
just highlighting the around Aphrodite, or the, you know, here around the character. Yes.
yeah. What I really like about that is it's really quick. You get a really good effect, and it doesn't take a long time to have that element cut a different element. I wanted to ask. So your background is in animation, correct?
Yes. Yes.
How did you learn how to rig characters and composite scenes?
Well, I was working as an animator in an animation studio. It was 10 years ago, and we had a training from Toon for an animated series, and we also had, I think it was 3 or 4 days about the rigging process,
Oh, it looks
because
like we
we knew
lost
that
Gaylor,
we would
or
have to make
maybe
some
my
adjustment
internet connection
before the
has.
production
Oh,
starts. So that's how I learned Toon and also the rigging process.
I think we lost you for a second.
Oh, really?
So would you be able to repeat the your answer to the question?
Oh, okay. Sorry. No,
Sorry about that.
I was working in an animation studio, and we had training with Toon for, I think it was 10 days or something like this, for animation, but we also had a few days for the rigging process, because we knew that we would have to adjust a bit the rigs and before the production starts. So I learned Toon and also the rigging process at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive, everything that you've put into this series. Would you say, like, out of character rigging, animation, compositing, storyboarding, like, which element took the most work from you?
Well, the storyboards also a huge part of the process, and um, I also did the mistake on the pilot episode to not make a storyboard, because I thought that since I'm working alone, it wouldn't be necessary to make storyboard, and it was a huge mistake, because then I was totally lost during the production with the scenes. Um, Nothing was really working together. So I learned it the hard way, that you have to work on your storyboard. And even now, it's really hard to stay focused on the storyboard. It's not something that that is really easy for me, but it's so important for the episode.
As someone who's like a lot of your work in studios has been on the production side, has having to figure out all of the pre-production given you a bit of insight into other parts of the animation pipeline?
Uh, you mean if yeah, if I had some ideas about the pre-production before working on
Well,
the.
I wonder if maybe it gave you like new insight into all of the work that went into the scenes before, before you were animating them.
When I started, you mean when I said if I had an idea of
Well, let me see if I can rephrase that. Because you're working now on storyboards and really discovered recently that like storyboarding is important, did that like change the way that you think about like animation, the animation process?
yes, and I also realized that the storyboard can really help you to gain some time and to work more efficiently. And also all this pre-production part, and it helps me um, um, to prepare the animation. Also, I know that I can make some scenes that won't be that hard to animate, and some yeah, that's I think that's it. Yeah, I don't know
So,
if this
Gaylor,
answers the
for
question.
no, no, that makes a lot of sense. For our viewers who are interested in watching the series, where can they go to find God's School and see more of your work?
Well, they can watch God School on YouTube. There are 5 episodes, and episode 6 I post episode 6 on YouTube, I think, in this fall. I will give a release date as soon as I can. And if they want to see more about the animation process or behind the scenes or the artworks, they can follow God School on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm also on Patreon.
All right, we have about 10 minutes left. Is there anything else that you want to show off on this rig?
On Aphrodite?
Let's take a look at Aphrodite.
Okay. Well, it's kind of like Aries. I mean, it's the same thing.
I mean, in terms of structure, but like the character design is quite different.
You can see that she doesn't have legs, not even second arm, a second hand. Yeah, so now you see the behind the scenes. And well, I think, yes, for this episode she had these tears on her cheek, and then like Aries, you have all the different deformers things.
When you work with multiple characters, do you use like the same rigs as like a base and sort of make modifications on those, or do you rig them all from scratch?
It depends on the characters, and when now it's for the goddesses, the gods and goddesses, it's mostly the same rig, and it was different for the Aloads, and because there were two giants from episode 3, and it's also different now that I have Cerberus, because he's a dog, so the rig is really different, and I still have a lot to do on it because I'm not satisfied with it yet. And yeah, but mostly it's the same. It's the same rig. You can see the backdrops and things, and yeah.
So I know that these are characters that you've sort of been working with for a long time. Which characters would you say were the easiest for you to figure out the designs for, and which ones took you more time?
Hera was the easiest. Hera, because she's the first one that I've drawn, and yeah, she hasn't changed a lot since the first time that I drew her. She's that's always the Hera I had in my head, in my mind, and I don't know which one was the most difficult. I think I had some troubles working on Athena's design, and Ares also, because I didn't know what to do with her hair. She had different hair in the beginning of the. I just think I can show you this one. Yeah.
Oh, this is
So
great.
this was the very first drawing of Ares. This was when I was trying something else that she would have a bag, with, yeah, it's an idea that I forgot about. And this is close to the second trader, yeah. And then you have the final. The face.
No, it's really cool to see the progression too.
I think I have also Aphrodite like this. Yes. Yeah, Aphrodite. This one is
Wow.
the first one of Aphrodite. And yeah, this one is the one that you know now. And yeah, that's the two I have here.
All right. Well, Gaylord, this was really a wonderful discussion. I really enjoyed learning more about the work that went into God's School. So I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today to talk about your project. And for our viewers, definitely check out the God School YouTube channel. All 6 episodes are currently available to watch for free on YouTube. And if you enjoyed learning about God's School and are interested in rigging 2D characters of your own, you can find a 21-day trial for Harmony Premium on our website at toonboom.com, and also find tutorials at learn.toonboom.com. The team at Toon Boom will be taking a couple of weeks off from Twitch to prepare for a few surprises, but our next scheduled broadcast is a Harmony Premium art stream with Mariev Lascelles on September 27th. So be sure to join in if you have any questions about Harmony Premium or want to learn more about tips and tricks used by professional artists around the world. You won't want to miss it, so be sure to tune in next time.